Hey guys, in this module we're going to talk about SEO domination. Now, let me just share a couple of thoughts before we jump into this module because I know that there's two directions or two audiences that I could be talking to. One audience already knows some SEO, maybe knows quite a bit about SEO. The other audience knows little to nothing about SEO, right? And then the other concept is whether you know SEO or you don't, the question is, are you going to do SEO for yourself or for your clients, or are you going to outsource it? So there's no right or wrong. I've done both personally. There was a time when I didn't have a clue about SEO. Now I know more about SEO than I ever have before, and I've been studying this for really full time for about a year and a half up to this point. And so that's my backstory is, I'm about a year and a half into this thing. For those of you who have or already in Project X, NHB, No Holds Barred, OMG, you guys have phenomenal training. It costs you many thousands of dollars. You obviously know that because that's what it costs. For those of you who don't know what Project X, NHB, and OMG is, it doesn't matter. It's closed anyway, so it's kind of a moot point. Okay, so I'm going to give you some of the basics here. This may be just a basic refresh. For others, it may be a little more intense. So feel free to come back to this video, watch it over and over if you need to. This is how I've learned SEO best. Is one of my mentors, Greg Morrison, did videos exactly like this and just covered each principle in SEO step by step by step, and then kind of walked me through that process. So we could go really deep down the rabbit hole. But again, that's not the point of Client Crusher Academy or this module. The point is to bring SEO to give you an understanding, at least a cursory glance of what SEO is all about, why it's important to either rank yourself or rank clients, okay? Whether you outsource it or you do it yourself, again, that's ultimately your choice. So I'm just going to cover some of the basics regardless of what you choose. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So let's jump right into what we're going to cover here with this video. What they are, what percentages you should be looking at, and anchor text. I'll cover that specifically. Links, quality, quantity, do follow, no follow, exact match domains or not, what's better, on-page SEO factors, and I'm going to give some specific examples so that you won't have to guess. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to talk about silo structures, even if it's worth it, when it's worth it, when it's not, time to rank, Google updates, and tools. So as with any of these videos, I try to keep them short, straight to the point to give you exactly what you need in the shortest amount of time. So let's just jump in to some of these anchor percentages. But before I get deeper into this, some of you may be saying, what in the world is an anchor? An anchor is known as an anchor text. And for simple illustrative purposes, imagine that you've gone to, let's say, an easing articles type of site, an article directory, right? Or you've gone to somebody's blog and you see this little blue link and there's words in blue. That's an anchor text, okay? And the percentage, so let's say, for example, you have 10 anchors, right? Or links pointing back to your website. Out of those 10, you want to have a certain of them be what you can see here on the screen is brand. A certain percentage should be URL, that's your website structure, as I gave an example here. Certain ones should be exact match, and I'll cover these in detail in a little bit. Long tail exact should be certain percentage. You should have a certain general that are general, and then a certain percentage that are general, and then a certain percentage generic. You're going to see these numbers vary depending on who you talk to. I get this information primarily from Greg Morrison and Jimmy Kelly. And so I also balance that with the folks at Network Empire, three different individuals or groups that are some of the brightest minds in SEO. And I've also found that these percentages are very safe. They're very conservative. And the way I do SEO is I'm very conservative, a lot like Greg is, Greg Morrison, that is. And I want my SEO to last. I don't want to just take shortcuts. I don't want to get whacked by the next Google update because I was too aggressive with using the same keyword. Is a point. I want to say probably in the past 2 years, it was pretty okay to use what's known as a exact match. So let's say you were trying to rank for Syracuse SEO company. You would just go blast that keyword out there. You'd use that as an anchor text and a whole bunch of websites, creating a lot of links that said Syracuse SEO. Google responded and gave you a lot of rankings. This is not the case after the latest round of updates. And there are updates that happen every year. We'll cover that in just a minute. So these are percentages that are going to be pretty safe. Now, especially you need to be careful about the exact match. I do less than 10% exact match. So if I have 10 links and I want to get ranked for, obviously this is my primary keyword, Syracuse SEO company, out of 10, I'm only going to have one link that says that exact term. You can use other terms. I call those long tail exact match, and that might be hire the best Syracuse SEO company. See, it's got that keyword in the string, but it's part of it, but it's not treated the same, so you can get away with that. Again, I'm conservative with those as well. It's about 10%. And URL, there's a lot of variations you could put here. You could put in the www version, so this would just be www.MagNosiWebMarketing.com in front of the HTTP, or excuse me, after it. You could have a slash, you could have no slash, you could have skip out the HTTP, use www. There's about 8 different variations of a URL anchor, and I use them all because I think it's conservative and it looks natural. If you've got 100 websites out there and they all have the exact anchor that says this, http, ://magnosiwebmarketing.com. And there's no variation. There's no trailing slash, there's no www. That might look a little bit funny. Okay. So a brand is just that. It's your brand and it looks just like this. You sometimes get to remove the spaces, that type of thing. So brand links are very safe, as are URL. Generic anchors are very safe. But again, you see, I don't really go over 20-25% for much of any of these. And I have a wide variety of these. And what I like to do is, depending on my strategy, whether I'm running the private blog network strategy, or maybe I'm using some different types of links through authority stacking, which I'm going to cover, as well as the PBNs. I'm going to save some of my highest quality, highest PR, strongest links. I'm going to use those exact match primarily. And so I think we've kind of covered the point here. Whether you, again, outsource or you don't, you need to be mindful of these. If you're outsourcing to somebody, you need to know what your anchor percentages are. You really need to know this information. Otherwise, you're just going to get potentially into trouble unless the person or company that you hire really is on this. Now, personally, I create a report, and I'm actually giving that report to you guys. I think it's an Excel spreadsheet that you can download. Whatever the content, I think it is an Excel spreadsheet that I created that you can download, and that's the exact spreadsheet I use to track all of these things. It's really, really important. In terms of links, it's great to have what I consider internal links. Those are links, between inner pages of your site. It's also good to have links on your site that point out, outbound authority links. Oops, let me go back. Yeah, I'll be all right. And in terms of the links coming into your site, let me just skip ahead here. You want to make sure that the quality levels are really, really important. So those inbound links, that's where we talked about those anchors pointing into your site. Those are inbound links, okay? And that's really, again, it's pretty basic information, but just good general information to know. Some people ask the question, I've certainly asked it myself, is an exact match domain better than a non-EMD? We call them EMDs for short. For example, Syracuse SEO Company.com, right? That's an exact match domain. You have to be much more conservative using an EMD to get it ranked than you would even 6 to 12 months ago. I've had personally 10 EMDs whacked and just clobbered by Google after the latest round of updates. And so I've decided personally to avoid those about 90% of the time. I do have a current website that is an EMD, but I was extremely conservative with my anchors and with my on-page factors and some of the things we're going to cover here. So there is some ranking benefit to using an EMD, but there's not enough to really justify it all the time. In fact, one of the other strategies that I personally use is I go out and I buy expired domains that have really great quality links, and they're age domains. Those websites can be very, very powerful, and when used correctly in an SEO strategy, you can actually rank one of those faster than an EMD, and it can stick around longer. Again, there's a lot of factors, variables behind that, but I think it's probably the point. Personally, for my strategy in terms of local offline consulting, I took the second approach, MagNosiWebMarketing.com/SEO Syracuse SEO. I actually have a page that's ranked #1 for that particular term. I just decided it wasn't worth doing Syracuse SEO company. Just personal choice, whatever you want to do. In terms of on-page SEO factors, let's look at a couple of different things. URL structure, titles, descriptions, and keywords. Again, this is pretty basic, but yet the bottom third of this page is really critical. If you're going to do SEO, you got to know this stuff. And this is really as complex as it gets. So if some of you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed, don't. I mean, this is it, right? And I'm going to walk you right through it. Okay. magnosiwebmarketing.com/Syracuse-SEO. That's considered a URL, right? Or if it's an exact match, you could see the exact match here, SyracuseSEOcompany.com/Syracuse-SEO. First of all, you got to be really careful if you have an EMD about stacking the keyword. If it's already in the URL structure, be really careful about adding it a second time. I personally don't do that. I'll use a synonym if I'm going to do that, and I won't go into detail on that, but suffice it to say, be really careful about your URL structures. If your primary keyword is Syracuse SEO in this example, that's fine. But if you have an EMD, you might want to think about maybe Syracuse Search Engine Optimization Company or Syracuse or Search Engine Optimization Syracuse. Change it up a little bit. I'm not saying that you can't do this. You just have to be really careful with that. Now, in terms of titles, descriptions, and keywords, let's cover this and let's look at this. Again, this is as complex as it's going to get. Your URLs we just covered, and I just put an example here. Let's say you want to sell car insurance in California. So it's yoursite.com. This is assuming this is not an EMD. It could be, billybobs.com/California, right? Let's say, for example, that's your URL because you want to rank for the state. Okay, so you want to rank for cheapest car insurance or cheap car insurance for California. So this is your URL structure, just as an example. And here's an example of a title. Get the cheapest California car insurance quotes. This is a compound title, actually, and I just put a pipe in here, your site. You don't have to do that. I just put that in there to change it up a little bit. So if I want to rank for, say, cheap car insurance, right? This is a great way to, I'll seed in the keyword cheap car insurance on the site, but I also use some synonyms like discount, least expensive. So the takeaway here is when you want to make sure if your keyword, say, is cheap California car insurance, that you don't repeat that more than twice between your URL structure, your title, and your description. Okay? Really important that you don't go more than twice. If it's an EMD, you got to be even more careful. Okay, so this is our URL. Here's our title, and this is what we're after. We're looking for cheapest California car insurance. We'll get credit for cheap California car insurance, by the way, because cheap is part of cheapest, so that's kind of cool. So you're kind of getting credit for two keywords. And my synonym is least expensive. See, that's why I put them both in red. So I vary it up, making sure that I'm not repeating cheapest all over the place or cheap car insurance or cheap California car insurance. See how I'm changing it up a little bit? This structure works really, really well, especially when you silo your website, and we'll cover that in just a couple of minutes. And you're able to rank much faster for these terms when you both silo a website and you really are mindful of your on-page titles, descriptions, and keywords. So the other thing I want to leave off with here is insurance quotes. That's something that is important to me. I want to connect that with these search terms. Okay, so I left that in both of these, which is fine. Again, 2 out of 3 is totally fine. Cheapest, I used least expensive. I also threw in here discount rates instead of insurance quotes, rates and quotes. See how that is? And I'm just sort of mixing some related keywords, seeding those into my description and my title, varying them up or changing them up so that it's safe. This is a seriously safe approach to doing on-page SEO. And if you following my advice here, you're going to be far ahead. In terms of keywords, I use a tool called the Last Keyword Tool to find what I call co-occurring terms. Some people call them synonyms or related terms, and we won't get into semantics about how that's different, but suffice it to say that you want to get related terms, you want to seed them, as I just described and just show an example, into your descriptions, into your titles, your pages, and in your content. That's really, really important. Now, in terms of keyword density, here let's look at the difference between EMDs and not EMDs. For EMDs, I stick to a keyword density under 1%. Actually, I stick to that for both, just because that's the way I like to do it. Let's say, for example, I've got 700 words on a page. If I want to rank for Syracuse SEO company, I'm only going to use that term once, right? I'm going to get credit for Syracuse SEO, and I'm also going to get credit for Syracuse SEO company because it's all on that, right, in that one string. It's all found on that page. But I'm going to go really conservative. And honestly, all you need is your keyword to be listed at least once on page, and you're going to get credit for that. So just a couple of thoughts on that. In terms of interlinking, on-site interlinking is very good. They do count as links, and so you just want to make sure you're watching your anchors. So in this document that you can download if you haven't already done so, when I make an external link pointing in, and I say I've got 10 links and one of them is Syracuse SEO company, that's the word I really want to rank for. On my site, I'm going to be really careful about not over-optimizing or not using the word Syracuse SEO company all the time. One time maximum, that's it. But again, so if I have 10 external links and I have one link on my site, that's pointing to another page, and I've got Syracuse SEO company on my site, and I'm using that same anchor externally, that's a total of 11 links, but I've used that keyword twice, right? An exact match twice. So what I'll do is I'll add additional external links pointing in to compensate to make sure that my exact match keyword anchor ratio is not above 10%. Occasionally you can go over it, but you just got to be careful. I do SEO, I call it the right way. I mean, I'm biased, of course, but I do SEO to last, right? I don't want to get hit by a penalty, and I'd rather be more conservative and then be able to go optimize my links and my sites a little bit more than get hit with the penalty and have to go scurrying trying to catch up on rankings. Outbound authority links on my site, I might link out to Wikipedia or something like that, and I use those, but I just use them sparingly. Inbound links, again, quality over quantity, always watching my anchors. That's really important. And here, let's talk about siloing. Siloing, here's just a real basic example. On my site, you can see product reviews circled in red on the left and business opportunities circled in right. And just below that, you see silo 1, silo 2. Those are two silos on a personal site that I did where a silo basically, by the way, is just simply a way of categorizing information that's easily found and easily searched by both Google search engines and people. And you can really crush the rankings when you do siloing. I can't go into details on that here because it's outside of the scope of what we're talking about. Now, in terms of ranking sites, and again, I'm going to try to pare this down just to finish this video up in a couple of minutes because I give a lot of information for newbies. It might feel like a lot, and I don't want to take longer than I really need for this because I want to cover this information and help you just get cranking so you can go do some SEO for yourself or go hire somebody who knows what they're doing and get some results, because SEO top rankings can really make you a lot of money and your clients as well. Okay, time to rank. It depends on a lot of factors. Again, I could spend an entire video just on ranking, but again, that's not the point. External links, existing links, on page, like the way the website is built, the URL structure relative to the keywords, any potential penalties, competition, the authority or domain authority of competing sites. There's so many factors that influence time to rank. But to break it down really simply, if you have a local keyword and you don't have high domain authority or high page rank sites that are outranking you, it's going to take far less links for you to take the first page, right? Syracuse SEO is a great example of that. Syracuse SEO company, there's not a lot of competition. I think I built 4 links for that. And, if I did get more competition, then I'd just have to go build more links, and they'd have to be higher quality, right? Higher and higher quality, if the stiffer the competition. When you're ranking nationally for a term, you need a whole lot more juice, right? A couple links, even from some really good PBNs or even some authority stacking, if you go down that route, it's going to take a whole lot more. And again, that's just enough just to give you some perspective. National takes longer. Higher domain authority sites above you are going to take more links, and will probably take a little bit longer as well. Google typically has a couple of updates per year, usually 2 major ones, and just be mindful of that. So, they've got 400 plus updates a year, so it's, just keep that in mind. Some of the tools that I use, I mentioned the last keyword tool. I don't have that here on the screen, but the last keyword tool is one, Open Site Explorer, Ahrefs, Majestic SEO. These are some paid tools. Here's some free ones, SEMrush, SEO for Chrome. So I'll have a resources section where I've got affiliate links. So if you need or want some of these tools, and if you buy through my links, then I'll get credit for that, and I'll earn commission. So I just want to be upfront about that and say thanks. If you decide to purchase one of these tools, I'll make a sale, which is really cool. It won't cost you anything more, but I just thought I'd clarify that. So that said, if you have any questions, by all means, depending on the level of membership that you chose or that you purchased, you've got different levels of access to me. And so just reach out to me with any questions. Again, I covered a lot of information. SEO can be a incredibly deep, very long rabbit hole. It can be really complex or as simple as you want it to be. And so I think that hopefully the takeaway for you is whether you choose to outsource or you choose to do SEO, or maybe a combination of both, SEO is so powerful. It's crucial to building an offline business to be able to have somebody at your fingertips, so to speak, who can really create results, or to be able to have at least a fundamental understanding of these concepts, and to be able to rank sites for yourself. So like I said, I've done both. Both are great. It's your call. It depends on what kind of business you want to do. And then, you may have purchased this course, but maybe offline consulting is just something you wanted to dabble with. Maybe you really want to make money with affiliate marketing or something like that, or launch your own product like I've done. Again, SEO is going to be really, really important, whether you want to do launch jacking or just get ranked for, some affiliate product. Whatever the case is, SEO should absolutely be in your arsenal because it's so powerful regardless of the application. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll talk soon.